When I am blending with parts, I am abandoning them. I am telling them that their problems are so big that I can't do anything about it. I'm telling them that their pain is so big that I can't help it. When I blend with parts, I'm abandoning them. I'm telling them I can't handle this. I'm telling them that this present moment isn't something worth being present for. When I blend with my parts, I'm leaving them to survive at the hands of a dysregulated nervous system and a trauma-ridden body that cannot exist in the present moment unconditionally. When I blend with my parts, I'm neglecting my power, I'm neglecting my potential, I'm relinquishing my ability to heal. When I blend with parts, I forfeit an opportunity to connect with the most amazing pieces of myself. When I blend with parts, I am agreeing with protectors that life is not worth it. And I'm agreeing with child parts that we're too small for this. When I blend with parts, I am limiting my brain's ability to access its adult self. I am putting myself in a state of trauma. When I am blending with parts, there is no separation and distinction of parts. All there is this ever-flowing symptoms, and my identity becomes entirely lost. Even if I'm with the most amazing parts of my consciousness, if I am blending, I cannot distinguish their incredible nature. When I blend with parts, I'm abandoning them, I'm neglecting them, I am keeping us stuck. It is hard, it is really hard to unblend from parts. It is really hard to claim my power. It is really hard to do the daily work it takes to create new neural pathways within my consciousness that allow me to live with less fragmentation in my access to my consciousness. It's hard. But it's not as hard as staying stuck. It's not as hard as creating more suffering. It's not as hard as being where I am now in a year from now when I could have been healing deeply. When I blend with my parts, I'm being selfish. I'm putting my comfort and my feelings and my desires above the well-being of the parts that allow me to exist in the first place. When I blend with parts, I'm losing myself. Unblending from parts is how I reclaim my power. Unblending from parts is how I learn to love myself wholly. Unblending from parts is how I step into my potential instead of allowing the trauma to continue dictating my unfolding experience in this life. Unblending from parts is how I step up and step in to be there for them. Unblending from parts is how I create distinction within my consciousness so parts have their own individuality and I have an ability to be present with them without sinking into the symptoms created by the traumatic dysregulation. When I unblend from parts, I get to hold my child parts in my heart and in my arms in ways I've never experienced before. When I unblend from parts, I get to harness the warrior courage of my protectors and deactivate their suicidal ideations like I've never had the power to do before. When I unblend from parts, I get to see the world through new eyes because these eyes are filled with trauma and the lens of a body of trauma is not a beautiful life experience. I get to see the world through fresh eyes where colors are brighter and sights are crisper and things are less overwhelming and intimidating and far more enjoyable. When I unblend from parts, I get to know who I am when I look into the mirror. When I unblend from parts, I have increased mindfulness abilities to reinstate the cognitive capacities that keep getting shut down with the chronic dissociation. When I unblend from parts, I finally get to see the beauty of my subconscious and embrace it with open arms and love it until it heals fully and completely. When I unblend from parts, I get to choose. I get to choose how I respond instead of having my body automatically respond from a state of survival where I don't even have full consciousness. Unblending from parts is the greatest thing I've ever done for my own well-being. Unblending from parts is a requirement on my personal pursuit of happiness. Unblending from parts helps my brain have a fighting chance of existing in the here and now. Unblending from parts helps teach my body that we're no longer in a state of trauma, that we are in a brand new day where we get to create new experiences even if we don't remember them. Unblending from parts is how we start to create magic, because we explore our consciousness in such extensive, intricate, fascinating, oh my goodness, it is just the ways that we get to explore our consciousness when we go through the unblending process using the multi-conscious parts approach created in 2017. Magic starts to unfold because the chaos and the darkness, that depth starts to become the light and the beauty of our experience. The depth of our darkness is only ever there existing to reveal the depth of the light that we are capable of experiencing and embodying. And so when life is dark and it could never even feel any darker, I promise you, you are a light being filled with infinite light, and you just have to start tapping into it and unleashing it by loving on your darkness. Unblending from parts is how we become whole. We are already whole, but until we see it, what does it even matter? Until we can embrace it isn't even real to our own beings. We must know our wholeness. Unblending from parts is how I connect all the pieces of my life stories from all the different perspectives and all the different years and all the different versions of who I've been in this life. It's how I start to know who I am when I reflect on my story, when I look in the mirror. Unblending from parts is my greatest accomplishment. Unblending from parts is so worthwhile.